Alright, guys, I'm going to tell you about a freaky culture, a family story. Um, this one is one my dad is not too proud of, but it's been a funny story that we've told many times. When he was about 23, he had bought his first house, and he was moving a bunch of furniture in, and he got a water bed. So he was filling the water bed up. He had plumbed a line through his window, and so after he had, you know, turned the faucet on and stuff, he ended up going out drinking with his buddies one night, and so he came back after a long night of drinking, and his doormat was all wet, and it was the middle of summertime, so he was kind of, that was the first clue that something wasn't right. So he walks inside, and there's a water line about 3 feet up, and it had put a water line all the way around his room, kind of like when a tide comes in and out, it'll leave a water line like where it recedes the beach. So at that point, he knew what was going on, and so he walked in his room, and the hose is still running. I mean, it never the faucet never turned off, so it's still flooding his room out, and it had broken out the two windows in his bedroom, and so he's like, oh shit. So he goes out into the kitchen, and it was a small house, so the kitchen wasn't very far away. So he opens the cupboard, and there's water in the top shelf in a dish, and so he was, needless to say, after drinking, he wasn't too happy to see that. So he got in his car and left, and went over to, I guess, a girlfriend's house, and so he comes back the next morning, and he still had never turned the faucet off, and so it ruined the house pretty much. He had to put new, it was wood flooring, so he had to replace all the wood flooring, and the sheetrocking was just totally soggy wet. So I don't know, it was a pretty funny story. I've always enjoyed hearing it from him, and hearing, he rebuilt it with his uncle. His uncle helped him remodel the house. So, their points of view are pretty similar. It's just like a mind blower. He couldn't believe it happened. And when I was about 6 or so, he decided that he wanted another waterbed to redeem himself. And while we were filling it, he was so scared to leave the house that we just pretty much stood around the bed until it was full. And I don't know, he ended up actually having a leak on that waterbed that he had bought after the first one blew up. And when he got the leak, he said he had enough of it, and he just threw the waterbed out. He couldn't handle it. So I don't know. It was just a funny story. But thanks for listening.